Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattocks, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
We started this process this week with a named kind of fear and a situation we were trying to be able to respond with courage to. We began this process with a certain understanding, and that was that this was going to be work, right? It's a tough process. It takes time to cultivate this capacity. Like any new skill, like anything that you're going to learn or grow or develop in a meaningful way, what you'll find is that as you gain agency and capacity and develop that skill, you get quicker at it. Your process here that you're going through to take that knock of fear, route it to the appropriate location, deal with it in a meaningful way, and then move it into your lodge space to figure out how to react. That process in the beginning is going to take like deliberate work, like maybe hours, maybe days, maybe a couple of weeks even, to kind of get through it. What happens over time is that process goes from, hours to minutes to seconds. The whole cycle compresses, and you are being, you now have the ability to respond with intention, as opposed to all of this stuff was happening on autopilot in the past. The fears would trigger an instinctive response that maybe you would run, or maybe you would go self-medicate in some way. Maybe you would go do something destructive. And whatever those responses were, you have, by going through this process, began to own them. And in owning them, you get to control them. In the lodge space, we really want to work through how we can best respond. The first tier response might not be to immediately stop. For example, the first tier response, and this, you've probably experienced this if you've ever had issues with your eating, right? The first tier response is to never outlaw all things. The moment you say, I'm never going to eat, sugary things again, you have created a situation that is untenable, because the world does not tolerate that kind of extremism, let's say. So when we talk about ways that our lodge can respond, that internal lodge, that process, we want to start tier one with harm reduction. Harm reduction is a clinical term, and what we're really talking about here is the ability to do something less destructive. It may be that you self-medicated before with drugs or alcohol, or, some other, solution that was not good for you in some way or another. Your use was abusive. The way you did it was, not productive for everyday life. Counter to flourishing, whatever that might be, right? So when we first reduce harm, you might replace going out and having a cigarette with going out and having a vape. And then you might replace that with going out and having a stick of gum or a walk around the block. But those stepwise changes from most destructive to least destructive to the opposite are also how you turn these fears that you have into the engine for growth, into the mechanisms by which you challenge and improve yourself and do the work of the lodge. This entire process can happen, and you are in control of the whole shooting match if you choose to be. Once you've identified something you want to work on, and you've figured out, you've named that as a thing or as a problem you want to overcome, you can then use these different lodge functions, the tiler, the pursuant, the examining room, the preparing room, and the lodge itself, to build a better response to the world around you, to everything outside. And in that process, you increase your agency and you become a better version of the person who entered the lodge to begin with. That's our work. Keep going.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.